Welcome back to Strange But True Stories. We have gathered a few news stories that will either scratch or ignite your curious nature. So sit back, relax, and enjoy these true humanoid encounters. I'm a school teacher from Barry's Bay, Ontario. Thanks to my summers off, I spend almost half of each August going on canoe trips in Algonquin Provincial Park nearby. There are many areas of the park that are protected and have no logging or infrastructure, and these are the areas I like. Some of these areas are huge, bigger than most other provincial parks. This August I went on a solo trip to Lake Lavielle to catch some lake trout. It wasn't exactly the season for them, as most lake trout stay in very deep water during the summer. But I was going to have a busy fall and figured why not attempt some deep water jigging. The trip began through the access point on Lake Opeongo, a large lake with branching arms that act as a popular canoe highway for backcountry access. Over the course of a few days, I made my way from Opeongo to Dixon Lake across one of the longest portages in the park and up to Lake Laville. The lake was beautiful. When you first cross from Dixon to Laville, you enter a bay, and as you continue on your way, it opens up to a massive lake that felt like a small sea to a guy like me who has never seen the ocean. Since this lake is very deep into the backcountry, you normally don't see many other campers. However, one of the only other canoe trippers there happened to take my favorite site on one of the islands. Because of that, I decided to try something new and camped on the lake's northernmost site. I set up camp and went fishing. It was extremely windy, so it was difficult to control my canoe. This is less of an issue when I have the weight of all my gear in the boat, but I had already set up camp. I decided to call it a day early and went back to shore before the winds blew me to the other side of the lake. I then had an idea. I was relatively close to a much smaller lake to the north of my site, connected by a very short and nearby portage. I grabbed my rod and a few small spinners and decided to head over to see if I could catch some perch or panfish from shore. It was getting late, so I wouldn't be there long. I made my way up the portage only to find it connected to a very marshy area. I went back and around the marsh, which was longer than expected. I started casting from shore as the sun was setting, not wanting to head back because of how long it took me to get there. It was getting a little nippy out, so I buttoned up my flannel. The lake was beautiful with the cold wind. That moment of beauty quickly interrupted by the sound of crunching to my right. The only animals that make sounds like that as they move about are bears and moose. Both are creatures that you don't want to bother. The issue was that this animal was in between me and the rest of the shoreline that would have guided me back to the marsh and thus the portage and thus my campsite. I decided I would cut across the dense forest to the shore of Lavielle and find my campsite. I was glad I brought my flashlight because at this point it was very dark. I made my way into the forest, and after about 15 seconds, I heard the animal again. I stopped moving and heard it continue for a second before pausing itself. When I continued, it continued, and when I stopped, it stopped. At this point, I was absolutely terrified. I was shining my flashlight behind me, but couldn't see any reflecting eyes shining back at me. I swear I was just standing there with my flashlight for 2 minutes. I started speed walking, shining my light back periodically in a slight panic. I didn't want to be eaten by what I thought was a mountain lion or bear. I finally tried scaring whatever it was off by yelling. I turned around and yelled, "Hey, back off!" as if I was calling out to someone. My entire world shattered when whatever it was shouted, "Hey, back off!" back at me. In my exact voice, a cold shiver went down my spine. This is going to sound absolutely crazy, but I saw a bald white head with no ears and huge eyes look out from behind a tree, and I absolutely bolted through the woods away from it until I reached water. From there I ran to my left along the shore until reaching my campsite. I threw literally everything in my canoe as fast as possible, picked up my tent with my sleeping bag and everything in it and just threw it in the canoe. I grabbed my backpack and water filter as well and threw them in. I got in and paddled as fast as I could, completely forgetting to get my bear hang. I had no idea where I was going, but my instincts were telling me to just leave. I found myself sitting in my canoe in the pitch black, not knowing where on the lake I now was. Most of my thinking was about what just happened. I didn't sleep that night, just waited in my canoe till morning. I had the balls to head back to my site and quickly grab my bear hang before canoeing to the other side of the lake, where I would properly fold and put away my gear. I'm never camping on Lake Laval again. Help me identify what I ran into. About a year ago, I had moved to a new area in northern Utah. I quite enjoy hiking alone and went on a new trail with my dog one morning. About 2 miles into the main trail, I came across a path that seemed to have been untouched for some time, but I wanted to explore, so I jumped off the main path. 1 or 2 miles into this smaller trail, I hiked into what looked like a camping area, but I had not seen it on any of my maps nor in the area reviews, so I thought this was a bit strange. I hiked past this, then suddenly had a horrible feeling of dread, and I froze. The forest had gone silent, and my dog was frozen, staring at a nearby bush. Whatever moved inside the bush seemed large, human-sized or bigger. I stood staring when suddenly whatever was there started making loud clicking sounds with its tongue. It was strange because, 1, these sounds were much too loud to be human, and 2, they were being made in patterns and increments. After some time, the thing quickly moved up the mountain. Though still obscured by trees, I got a decent idea of how fast it could move. It was again much too quick to be human. It continued clicking. Then I saw it dash up and over a ridge. It was tall, at least 6 feet or so, and it had stark black and white coloring. I know my animals, and it was like nothing I ran into or researched before. I had a coworker swear to me that it was a skinwalker, though I am curious if there is a different cryptic or folklore being that matches this description better. Whatever this thing was, it was definitely not human. My father was a police officer for 30 years. He is a respected member of the city council and an all-around reliable guy. He told me that a few years back he walked into the bathroom late at night to get ready for bed, and a 4-foot-tall goblin-like creature was standing on the bathroom rug staring at him. They both froze. He said he didn't feel scared, but sensed that the creature was just being a pest. It had long arms hanging almost to the floor, and had brown fur. He said it had a bat-like face, but not quite as smooshed. His first reaction was to say in the name of Jesus, "Leave my house." He said it just kind of stared at him, then jumped up and vanished through the closed bathroom window. No broken glass. It just phased through it. This is Strange but True Stories, and it's been a pleasure.